Well, here's a few clipboards and some paper and a couple notepads. That's all I got. All right, it's 10:06, so let's get the show on the road. My name's Dave. Welcome to my disaster area. Once you learn it, it's really easy to do. If you follow the instructions here, you're not going to get in any trouble whatsoever. And this class is geared more towards countertops, as I'm sure you're aware, but everything you learn will transfer over. You can do river pour tables, artwork, all kinds of different things, molds. We're going to figure out how much we're going to need for a countertop, and that's going to be in square inches. So we're going to measure, this is approximately 24 by 24, and then we're going to divide that by 144 to give us square feet, depending on what you're doing. We've got a resin for it pretty much. Got tired of the garbage on the market, so we got with a chemist in Seattle and a blending facility down in California and just made some really nice epoxy. So the reason we put the hardener in first is just to help it mix. The hardener is less viscous or thinner than the resin is, and it's less sticky. So if we put the resin in first, it just wants to stick to the sides of the cup. When we pour the resin in, and we're going to use one cup, we're not going to measure in 2 cups and then pour one in the other, because you're going to lose some on the sides, and accuracy is really important. So we're going to use one mixed cup. We're going to put, say we're doing 16 ounces, we're going to put 8 ounces of hardener, and then we're going to put 8 ounces, or up to the 16 ounce of resin, and we're going to put that right in the middle so it's not touching the sides, and then we're going to start to mix. We're going to mix that, and as it comes together, both parts are clear to begin with. It's going to become cloudy, and the instructions give you kind of a time to mix. Well, that varies depending on your mixing technique, and that's one problem some people have too, is your mixing technique. You want to make sure you're scraping the sides, scrape the bottoms. Epoxy cures with an exothermic reaction, which means it creates its own heat. And the more mass you have, the more heat it creates, which makes it cure faster, which makes it get hotter, which makes it cure faster, and it cures like that, okay? So the more you have, the faster it cures. You can do deep pours with this. You're gonna do it at 1/8 of an inch at a time. Let it cool down, let it start curing, and be on the cool down side of the slope before you pour another layer on top of it. If you tried to do a 2-inch river that deep with this stuff right here, it's gonna possibly catch on fire with your wood. It's gonna be smoking for sure. It's gonna yellow it and it's gonna crack it. So there's different formulations for different applications. So anyway, we're gonna mix that until it gets clear. You'll see it, it'll have air bubbles in it, that's all right. We don't want to mix it and froth it and get a ton of them in there like a drill's going to do. And I've seen students do that here, and it's just pure white. Well, why is it white? Well, it's just full of air. That's why it's white. So don't do that. Just a nice slow mix. You'll see it come together, start turning clear. Once that happens, we're going to transfer it into a second mixing cup, and that's when you can add colorants or not, depending on what you're doing. And you're going to mix that 2 or 3 more minutes. And when you dump it, we don't really want to scrape the sides. I'll just set the bucket down on the stick and let it drain. Or if you do want to scrape the sides, and we'll do it both ways here today, you're going to dump that scraped stuff into the middle of something that you already poured. So when you're spreading it out, it's going to help mix it in some more, just as an insurance policy. If you ever have tacky spots, uncured spots, it's because it wasn't mixed. 100%. When we coat, we're going to pour it all out, spread it out. We're going to brush the edges in to get coating on that. And then we're going to take our gloved hand and we're going to rub. It's going to start dripping off the edge. We're going to rub the bottom of that edge. And what that does, if you don't rub the bottom, those drips are coming down and it's going to be pulling like that. And so you'll get a wavy edge. You'll see some runs and things. If you coat the bottom of that edge, again, that surface tension is going to pull it back underneath, and then it's going to drip. So it gives you a nice, clean, smooth edge. Now we're going to do our pour and the artwork. Depending on how long you mix, you can have up to about an hour worth of what we call open time. You want to get it out of the bucket as soon as you're done mixing, get it spread out, and then you have about an hour to work with it. Well, guess what? It takes like 10 minutes to do your artwork on a whole kitchen. So there's no rush, you got plenty of time. Some people will get a little crazy and keep overworking it. You don't want to do that because you want to give it some time to self-level out after you get done playing with it and doing art and all that too. But there's no rush. You got plenty of time to do it. And then we're going to torch, which we'll do that here, and that's going to de-aerate the epoxy. And we're going to torch. So when we mixed it, we got air bubbles. When we're doing our artwork, we're using a brush, we're jabbing things, we're spritzing with alcohol, doing all this stuff. Now we want to get the air out of it, so we're going to torch it with a propane torch. You can use a heat gun. The heat gun's blowing stuff around, and we can use that to do artwork with. It's great to blow things around and move your mica powders and just create a more organic look. But the torch it works a lot better for de-aerating. Okay, it's not going to move the stuff around. It's going to still let it kind of self-level and do its thing. And that you're going to do that until the air is gone. So we're going to torch one way and then 90 degrees, and that's going to be one session. We're going to let it give it a minute or two. And on a countertop, we're just going to start at one end, and then we're going to come back and do 90 degrees. And we're going to come back because it's taking time, and by the time you get to this end's already cool. So we don't want to get it too hot with the torch. It'll curdle it, cause it to yellow. But we'll do that until we don't see any more air bubbles popping, okay? The guy that taught me, it's like, oh, don't just torch it a couple times. If you keep torching, it's going to create more air bubbles. No, that's not right. It's not going to do that. There's still air. If it's popping, it's got air in it, okay? I can't even get a good paint stripper anymore. No methylene chloride left. That's ridiculous. Anyway, don't get me started on what our government does. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna do one of these, and then whoever wants to jump in can kind of jump in. How many colors should we do, Rick? 5? Sure. Hey, I got an answer. I'm not gonna mix this at all. We'll just see what happens. Do a slight mix. You can like put a small stick in there and just kind of do like a figure 8. Doing a sample board before you do your countertop. Either write down what order you did it and how much. Did you do 3 different layers in there, or 2 or 4? Like, oh, that turned out really nice. I want to do that stuff. Let's play with this a little more just to see. We know we can leave it like that. Kind of cool. Up to an hour. Depends on how long it's been in the mix bucket. You know, all kinds of stuff. Except the patty cake method, we go full Monty. Almost always use alcohol on the artwork because it just makes it go organic.
Wow.
That's kind of cool. It's got the Milky Way going through there. Now, that's it. We can go over questions. I think I covered everything. Yeah, no, you can cut right on it. If it's on laminate or something, I'd probably put a piece of 2-inch tape and then mark your lines and cut through that, just to be on the safe side.